Welcome to The Explainer, everyone. Today, we're diving straight into something that is, frankly, a little shocking. We're setting the stage for a fascinating deep dive into how a team sitting on top of the T20 world less than a year ago, the reigning World Cup champs, just suffered an absolutely record-breaking collapse. Yep, we're talking about India's catastrophic performance against England at Trent Bridge in the third match of their 5-game series. How does a batting lineup packed with that much superstar talent completely fall apart? What were the underlying tactical failures? Let's take a much closer look at the anatomy of this historic defeat. Okay, let's dive into this. 125, that is the sheer magnitude of the loss. And it's a number that's going to be etched into the Indian cricket history books for all the wrong reasons. India lost this match by 125 runs. Just to give you some context on how massive that is, this is India's largest ever defeat by runs in men's T20 internationals. It completely shatters their previous worst, which was an 80-run loss against New Zealand back in 2019. When you're chasing a target in a T20 match, losing by over 100 runs means you haven't just been beaten, you have been thoroughly dismantled.
And you know, the shock value of this abject performance definitely wasn't lost on the team's leadership. Just look at this incredibly blunt post-match assessment from captain Shreyas Iyer. It was atrocious. You don't often hear a national team captain use that kind of unvarnished language in a press conference, but it perfectly captures the gravity of the situation and the mood in that dressing room. Coming into this game under immense pressure, trailing 1-0 in this series after a rain-washed first game and a tough loss in Manchester, the team desperately needed to bounce back. Instead, they delivered a performance that left their captain pulling absolutely no punches.
Section 1. Setting the target. England's batting masterclass.
Before we analyze the Indian collapse, we really have to deconstruct how England built this imposing mountain of a target. They took full advantage of what looked like a belting pitch at Trent Bridge. Inserted to bat first, they did not hesitate to put their foot on the gas. The aggressive contributions came right from the top and middle order. Phil Salt was the absolute standout, smashing 70 runs off just 44 deliveries. He was supported brilliantly by captain Jos Buttler with a quick-fire 36, and then, right at the back end of the innings, Sam Curran played a devastating cameo, remaining unbeaten on 41 from just 24 balls. This relentless, high-octane batting propelled England to 201 for 7. It was a daunting target, sure, but on a good batting surface, it was one a team of India's caliber would normally feel they could at least challenge.
Section 2. Destroyed by express pace, the Indian reply. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it sets up the sheer scale of the demolition we were about to witness.
This is exactly where the match went from a competitive chase to a historic demolition. If we juxtapose the start of the two innings, the massive gap between the sides in those first 6 overs becomes blindingly obvious. While England laid down a solid, aggressive foundation during their power play, India's reply collapsed almost immediately. Instead of setting a platform to chase down 202, India was reduced to an unprecedented 52 for 5 inside the power play. Half the side gone before the fielding restrictions were even lifted. In T20 cricket, losing 5 wickets in the first 6 overs effectively ends the contest right then and there. The rapid fall of the top order was just shocking to watch. Take a look at these key wickets. You have the incredibly young 15-year-old Vaibhav Suryavanshi, who had just made his debut in the previous match. He showed a fleeting glimpse of his phenomenal raw talent by hitting 2 massive sixes, but his explosive cameo ended super quickly when he fell to Jofra Archer for 13. Ishan Kishan, he could only manage 13 runs as well, and Shivam Dubey was caught by Buttler off the bowling of Josh Tongue for just 2. There was simply no stability, 0 partnerships, just a continuous procession of batters walking right back to the pavilion.
It was absolute express pace that dismantled the visitors. Josh Tongue was absolutely phenomenal on his home ground, taking 4 wickets for just 28 runs, and he was only denied a 5-for right at the very end when Prince Yadav managed to get off the mark. Jofra Archer was equally lethal, taking 3 for 29, and once the quicks had completely torn through the top order, veteran spinner Adil Rashid came in and clinically cleaned up the rest, finishing with superb figures of 2 for 14. It was just a complete, ruthless bowling performance.
Section 3. Rewriting Unwanted Records. The historic context. Because when things fall apart this badly, it gets a little ominous.
We really have to look at where this match ranks in the pantheon of India's worst ever performances. And this brilliantly illustrates just how grim the historical data really is. Their 76 all-out here at Trent Bridge in 2026 is now officially the second lowest score in the entire history of Indian T20 cricket. The only time they've ever performed worse with the bat was nearly 2 decades ago, a 74 all-out against Australia in Melbourne back in 2008. They even dipped below their infamous 79 against New Zealand in 2016.
To really feel the true weight of this collapse, think about this for a second. India was bowled out for 76 in just 11.4 overs. They couldn't even survive 12 overs. Out of a possible 120 legal deliveries in a standard innings, the Indian lineup lasted for just 70 balls. It wasn't just a defeat, it was an incredibly brief, shambolic innings where they barely scraped together a third of the required target.
Section 4. A worrying post-World Cup decline, the broader trend.
So the crucial point is that the most concerning part of this story isn't just this single match in Nottingham. It connects to a much more overarching and, frankly, worrying narrative. 4 of India's 5 biggest T20 international defeats by runs have come since December 2025. This highlights a steep, undeniable drop in form since their triumphant World Cup campaign. Less than a year after standing on top of the world, they're confronting a reality where heavy defeats are becoming an alarming pattern. This massive loss compounds the immense pressure of their current situation, leaving them facing an unassailable 2-0 series deficit with just 2 games left to play.
Which brings us to our final, lingering question. What does this historic 125-run thrashing mean for the future of Indian T20 cricket? As the series moves to the 4th T20 International in Bristol, you have to wonder how the former world champions can possibly recover their confidence, address this alarming trend of batting collapses, and salvage some pride. Will we see major tactical changes, or is this the sign of a deeper malaise in the squad? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Definitely keep your eyes on that next match, because how India responds will tell us everything we need to know about this team's character.